argued in court today, which I thought was very odd. One of the arguments presented was the role of the governor and whether there can be judicial scrutiny of the decisions and the actions of the governor. And the other side said there shouldn't be, that the courts shouldn't intervene or shouldn't scrutinize and question the decisions. But haven't we in the past seen, court orders itself overturn governors' decisions?
I think you have answered your own question, though you have rightly, as an anchor, used words of studied moderation. You use the word odd. I can only say that in law, in legal terms, it's a perverse argument. And the reason I say it's perverse is that, as the French say, the more things change, the more they remain the same. For almost 40 years, and certainly from 1994 onwards, the year in which Bommai was decided, but actually from before that, Bommai, Rameshwar, Uttarakhand, Jharkhand, Goa, Arunachal, any number of cases, all have repeatedly said that the governor, in the exercise of discretion in calling upon someone to make a government or not, in the period of time in which he gives for a floor test, whether he gives a floor test at all or not, how he scrutinizes the rival claims, etc., all are 100%, in fact more than 100% open to judicial review. Now, if 7 judges or 9 judges onwards from, as I said, Bommai and Rameshwar and all the other cases have said so, then why should we be laboring this point every time? Nothing is left to labor again as far as this principle is concerned. You may have a difference of opinion as to how I apply this principle in your case versus my case. But the fact that fully open to judicial review is not in doubt. Yes, you are not sitting in appeal over the governor. You are not deciding whether the governor but if the governor tells, and this case I argued today and yesterday, and I'm not making any comment on the judgment which is to come tomorrow, I'm only summarizing my arguments. The point I argued today is that if the governor chooses to make a Nelson's blind eye and says, I will look only east and I will not look west. Well, here was Mr. Sharad Pawar having a press conference at 7 o'clock on 22nd, saying that we have a CMP, we have announced Mr. Uddhav Thackeray as CM, and what changed between then and the morning of 4 o'clock of 23rd, that the governor did not even say, look, I have a doubt. All these people were together, at least show me the MLAs. Along comes Mr. Ajit Pawar with not a single MLA, with a signed list which is signed without a covering letter by a single MLA. I repeat, by no opening paragraph by a single MLA. Just a list signed which was picked up from the office of the NCP, which was a list signed by MLAs who had elected him legislative party leader. And he alone comes and says, I've been agreed to be Chief Minister, I agree to Mr. Fadnavis and the BJP, and the governor doesn't ask a question. But the last point, it is not necessary for us to go down that path, because that's a larger issue. The court should ultimately decide it. But it's not necessary. Our narrower point is, please assume that we are lying, please assume that we are wrong, please assume that we don't have the numbers. Who is it that is asking for a floor test? Me. I am happy to risk it, I am happy to lose it. Who is asking for a delay in the floor test? You, the opposite side. You are saying 14 days, then 10 days, then 8 days, then 6 days, then 4 days. That was the only argument made again and again and again and again since yesterday. Well, that tells its own tale. Who is avoiding a floor test? If you are so sure of winning, that itself is the conclusive proof as to